Welcome back to the channel, and today we have another unboxing and build video. Today we're building Lord Cathion Ursulin Creed. She's supposed to be one of the best commanders for the Astra Militarum. It's definitely can go into a very, very large brick of Cathion and other armies. So you can actually take her and put her with a 20 brick troop blob and put a command squad in there and put her on there. So that's 26 troops in one squad. That is crazy. And if that's incorrect, please correct me. That's what I read. This is why I bought her. And why she's so unique is she can give out 2 commands instead of 1. So we're definitely going to get her added into this army that we've been building. Let's get down to the paint cam. All right, let's go ahead and start and get this bad boy unboxed here. The only thing I've done so far is take the plastic off. And let's see what we're working with. From the picture, she has a pretty interesting base. There we go. Let's put that right there, and let's take a look at her instructions really fast. Should be pretty straightforward. Yep, left side, right side, upper body, back, front, chest plate, cloak, collar, heads and weapons, and the base. Her base is wild. Oh, I thought this was a... Oh, wow. Okay, I never noticed that from the pictures. Yeah, I thought this was like something on her back from like me thinking like my Grey Knights. This is actually like a giant stick stand that's off of the base. Okay, that's kind of cool. I didn't notice that. And then she has 2 options for her head, correct? Yep, she has a hair option and a helmet option. I'm not sure which one. What else is the options here? She has like a binodes in her hand or some kind of crux. So we got this crux right here. What else? So let's take a look. Let's take a better look at this helmet option. I'm gonna actually use the camera here to look even closer. It looks okay. Nothing special. Wouldn't make her really stand out, especially in how I've been building this army. It's a random head. Where is that supposed to go? Is that just like an extra helmet if she's not wearing her helmet? That's weird. All right, and then this face option, let's see here. You know, she's got a pretty good face. There's a little bit of mole line on it, which won't be too terrible. This base is rather interesting. I can't wait to get this base put together. Power sword is actually kind of cool. I like it, little dangle on it. We're gonna do that magic thing called editing, and I will take this all off the sprue and clean up all the mold lines for you. Don't get tortured. I'll be right back. All right, all cleaned up and ready to go. They want the helmeted head and they want the binodes, and we went ahead and cleaned everything up, so we're good to go. Let's go ahead and start assembling. So we got left and right leg that are going to be going together. And I will try my best that I normally don't do and stay in the middle of the camera. Or that. All right, there we go. All right, she looks really tall. I don't know. I've never physically seen this model before. Looks rather tall. So just from this right here, like, well, I guess that's just really, that is shoulders and toes, but just very tall base, and then that staff on top of that. So we'll see where this ends up. So it does have quite a crease right here. We just Tamiya that in. She's got a breastplate and cloaks and all that stuff, but I always just like to do this on models like that, just to get that extra seat. And if it shows later, we'll fix it. All right, next step is the front and back cloak. Yeah, that pretty much all that's about to get covered up what I just did. All right, so all right here. Boom. That we kind of want to leave semi-crease, but not necessarily up here. Let's hit that up here and that up here. And we'll see how it looks later on. Let's not waste too much time. I was wondering what that hole was for, and that answered that question. Let's get around that hole. I was very curious what this hole was, and it's like her shoulder pad is like coming through, it looks like. Yeah. That's kind of cool. All right. Give that a nice squeeze before we go on to the chest plates. Let's go ahead and grab that. There we go. There it is. I might have missed. Didn't get that as down as it could be. Let me get some good light here. Not as rounded off as it should be. You can tell I hit it, but I just didn't get it good enough. There we go. All right, let's get this chest piece on here. Yep, that is. No, that's not upside down. There we go. I thought that was upside down for a second. All right, and then left and right side cloaks. I'm not sure which one is which, but we'll figure it out here in a second. I think it's this way. Right, give that a squeeze for another second. Yep. Just give it a little dry fit real quick. Yep, that was correct. That goes all the way down. Nice. It basically covers up the entire, like those two legs that are basically the entire body are basically completely covered up at this point. Let me dry fit this real quick, kind of see where this one goes. I'm guessing it kind of goes in the same. Yep, this whole front, this whole side, this whole crease gets covered up. All right, see, that's why sometimes you gotta pay attention a little bit to where this stuff goes. Now I see where those pistols go. There's two little slots for the pistols right up front. It's pretty cool so far. I thought it was actually kind of cool that she has two pistols. All right, so next is the head and collar. It looks like the head goes on. Okay, the collar and then the head. Unfortunately, there is two collars. They're in this kit. Um, and I don't know which one is which, but I didn't really see a physical difference in them. The only difference between them are the one for the head. So hopefully I kind of grabbed the right one. In the picture, it's like this very small. I don't even know if you, let me get the other one for maybe you can see it on camera a little bit better. Yeah, so it fell off. Whatever. We'll let that dry as we explain. So part 8 and part 21, you jump too fast like I did. There's a small change. Let me put my fingers behind it so you can see it better with back. That this one has more of a swoop in the back of the collar, and this one is more straight across the back of the collar. And the straight one is for the haired head, and then this one that has the bigger swoop is for the helmet, which is part 21. Woof, I'm assuming. Off of the picture. All right, so let's get these collar in place. Definitely don't want this one to go anywhere. Plus, we do want this kind of to go into these little cricks and cracks and close this up. So we're going to be a little heavy-handed right here with the glue. And boop. Give that a little squeeze and a pinch. And next is the head. So let's get that helmeted head out. There we go. Pretty good job of sanding it. All right, let's get good amount of glue in there. Get that collar, inside that collar, all glued up. Drop his head right in there. Boop. Straightforward. Oh, it like auto curved. It's supposed to be, yep, it's supposed to be facing that way. All right. There we go. Give her a nice little deep in there. There we go. All right. What's next? Next is hands and arms technically. I went ahead and did the. Oh look, I missed another one. All good. I got distracted by putting the binode on there. There we go. And just a note for if you're building along with me, that if you're doing the binode, when I cut it from the sprue, it actually broke. So the connection point was here. There, hold on, let me use my blade. The connection point was here and like on top, right? And then when I cut this part first, and when I did, it snapped here and here. So be very careful with this strap. I'm probably going to give it a little bit extra love, but it's already been sitting there for a while. It does look a little beat up, but let's make sure it's on there really good. Yeah, it's already been sitting for a minute. All right. And another thing to note is to pay attention, is you would think most is going to be like most of the time you're working with binodes that I've worked with this army, they're like kind of like the positioning, right? So the arm actually sits like this. I need to sand this down. Arm sits like this, so that's why it's hanging down. That's how it shows in the picture, at least. All right, let's go ahead and get that arm attached. Boom. I'm not, ooh, excuse me, not 100% liking how that is sitting in there. Did I miss? Let's get some sprue goo. It's a very large gap. Just a little bit of sprue goo. I got some really wet sprue goo here. Hit that right at the top where the connection of the cloth should be technically solid. And then we're going to re-hit the post. Some regular Tamiya. Go. Yep, that's, oh, yeah, that did it. That was the perfect amount. A little too much, actually. Let's use our hobby knife to push that back in and down. A little bit of the glue is coming out the top, but that was pretty dang good. I'll let that dry and I'll really clean that up later. A nice press. Now there's no gap at that shoulder. A little bit underneath this little shoulder pad, but that looks way better. All right. Binode's definitely got to get cleaned up. All right. Is that touching? Yep. Is that touching? Yep. I always like to take, when I have an additional connection point like this, I always like to just do a little bloop, a little extra security when I'm building. So I just connected like this long collar off this trench coat to the binode. Just one little dap, real light. All right. Now for the sword, probably going to run into the same problem, so I'm going to go ahead and go to immediately to the same solution. Just a small amount around where it should be connecting. Then regular Tamiya at the connection point. And this is kind of pointed down. Yep. Weird, like spanning shoulder here. That's real. Is that really that far down? There it goes. Oh, it is that far down. Jeez. And that Tamiya thick worked out once again. Not as much as the last one, but better. Go ahead and take this. Go ahead and clean this up. Make this connection point look even better. So a little bit of the Tamiya thicks coming out there. There we go. Just trying to make it look seamless. Do the same thing over here now that it's drying. Let's get a little bit of that. And the little erasing of some mold lines that are still kind of showing. There we go. All right, what's next? We got the arms. She doesn't really have another. Oh, she kind of does. This is what I'm talking about. So, like, we got this little dangle here. It'll be has a chance to pop off. Do the directions actually say to do this? Nope. But what I'm going to do is take my extra thin cement, and I'm going to just give this little connection point a little love and secure that. That is a mighty, mighty gap right there. Look at that nasty, nasty gap right there. Oh, how did I miss you? Look, it's not a terrible gap, but that's a heck of a gap we're going to have to fill up. And we're definitely going to fill this gap up right here. Well, let's finish building her up. Oh, geez. Or just throw her across the table. All right, what's next? Next is the pistols. All right, so pistols go kind of facing each other. Too easy. Get it right in the holes. I know I like to do a little bit of overflow. There we go. That in there. I think that's really cool looking. Double front pistols. Is that like sitting weird? There we go. That little press. That her left, my right is being a little strange. So I'll just give that a little extra long press. And then that's it for the model. All right, not bad, not bad. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about these. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our Tamiya thick and we're going to go ahead and get barely any on the brush itself. And then see, we don't want the line to completely disappear, but we want the gap to disappear. So we're just going to trace it like that once or twice. Get this in there. I've got some on my finger. Let's pick that away. This one is the one I'm concerned about. Go a little bit more on here, and we're going to work from the bottom up, tracing along, and drag it down. If you push too hard in there, sometimes what can happen, there we go, we'll just do these little dabs, you'll create like a trench. Yep, that's pretty dang good right there. I don't want this seam, like this fold that's like on the top of her calf, to disappear. That looks pretty good. Now we just got to let that sit there for a bit, and it will just need probably a little bit of sanding love. Let's see if we have any other. Let's give it a little once over. Let's see, we did pretty good on these shoulders. This needs a little bit more Tamiya love right here. Regular Tamiya. That one's going to need another hit, probably. I think this one's probably going to be good. Maybe one more. We'll see. The health of these binodes strap is doing pretty good. Anything going on weird in there? Nope. Boots look good. Connection points look good. Let's give this another little just dab where trench coat meets her legs. Right. Looking real good. Did extra care to this sword. I always hate that swords have a connection point on the blade. I understand why they have to be packaged that way. At least they do it on the back of the blade on most of them. You can still kind of, I don't even know if you can see it. I can see it. It's right here. You can see where the connection point was. I have sanded it. I have cut it. If I feel like if I beat it up anymore, I'm going to dip it into it, and I don't want to do that. It is smooth to the touch. it's pretty much smooth to the look. Yep. But I know it'll disappear when I paint it, but this like oddity here, I don't know why. Right there, the tip of my blade right now. It'll go away eventually. This stuff is already loosening up. We got like this small seam here. I don't want to have to hit that too much. It's pretty good. Almost all the connection points on this model and glue points, a light little rub here, are pretty much gone, get covered up by other pieces. So I would say overall, this is actually a really easy model to build. If like you're nervous about building a leader for your army, I would say this one in particular is really good because of all the layers, right? You get good practice of building the model, but then you're basically got the entire torso and legs to build up off of, and everything gets covered up by the breastplate and the cloak, like this trench coat and the arms, the back cloak and the side. This is a really easy model to build. I have yet to do the base. Let's get to that real quick. Now watch this be a huge pain. I don't think it's going to be, though. I'm just being a smarty pants. This is probably going to be pretty straightforward. Let's see. This piece goes into this piece. Just like that. Yep. All right. So let's set her off to the side. So for these, what I always do when I'm building bases like this, especially that are all this rubble, is I will go super heavy on the cement. So I'm still going to follow the instructions, right? But everywhere it tells you to put cement, I'm going to go super, super heavy on it because we don't care. At this point, it's a base. And we want it to be seamless. We don't want any gaps. I don't recommend doing this method to models, but to terrain like this is perfect. There we go. So it super melts that plastic because you put so much on there. It does take longer to dry, but as you're smushing it together like I am, you can see I'm literally white knuckling over here, is that it's melting and fusing the plastic together so it makes it more seamless. And you can see what I'm talking about, is that there's almost no seam in there, and we got pour over. So to extra secure it, so I'm not too concerned about what it looks like, we're going to super saturate the inside, all the connection points. Get it all up in there so it can flow. And we'll just set that off to the side for now, somewhere where it can kind of stand up. Close enough for government work. Next piece is this piece, and it's kind of the same thing. There we go. And that's gonna go right here. Yep. Oh, look, I missed another one. That's that's right on top too. Again, it's terrain, so having it a little rough is okay, but that was an obvious connection point. I'm not even gonna bother sanding that down because it's all rubble. All right, and that's where her foot goes, so we don't want to mess with that yet. And this is all right here. Again, super saturated. I like ×2, ×3 the amount that you should. This spot right here. Let's coach this in there. There we go. See, right there. There's a gap right there. Boom, boom, boom. Jab those teeth in there. Brushes, bristles, whatever. Give that a good squeeze for a minute. And we got one more piece, and that is going to be the staff and then the body. I don't think I will install her on here yet. I will definitely build or paint the base and then paint her and then put her on here, because that is tight. That just asking for trouble. Where does this actually go on here? Not a very good picture of where this goes. You know what? Let's go ahead while we're waiting for that to kind of dry. This is a, I think, 30 millimeter. Yep, 30 millimeter. So let's get our 30 millimeter magnet set. Let me get this, burn this nipple off real quick. There we go. Where are my magnets? There they are. One magnet. I've made a whole video about this product. I absolutely love it. I use it on every model. I'm actually really low on super glue. Just a drop of super glue. And then I always approach it, because the magnets always, on all of them, are facing the same direction. It's actually a 32. Yep, 32. Right? I approach it like this and let the magnet do its own job. And then I just let it sit there for a minute while it dries. And then that's done. So we'll attach that here in a moment. Where does this go? All right, so that's the back. So this is the front. The straps are, okay, there's a picture. There we go. There's a picture, very small picture here. And it's even suggesting like other places to glue these straps, like I was talking about where I like to do. And it's showing you exactly where it should go right here, but from the back angle here. So right here. That is not noise. So it actually wants you to put the straps in front of it. No, that's a, is that a view from the front or the back? That's clearly a view from the back. What? Okay, hold on. Let me put her on there. Just gonna set her there. All right, so there's plenty of room back there. That is not what this picture shows. So this back picture is clearly from this angle, and it's showing that these straps are going in front. All this is going in front. There it is. There it is. Okay. Oof. But it's, the staff goes into the floor here, and these go, everything goes in front of this thing and connects in multiple extra little places. That was weird. All right. That makes way more sense. Okay. And it kind of just sits right in this. Okay, I see the line now. There's literally, all right, there we go. There we go. The lighting is going to help right here. So right here is a line, and then right here is like a little divot, and that's what staff is leaning against. Whew. Let's go there, and then go there, and then we're going to go thick Tamiya for the base. I should have probably done that first. Right where this flag staff is going to go. That was way too much. That literally dripped on. I did not mean to do that. That's not good. That's all good though. All right, and then boom, boom. Boom. And then we'll do all these extra little points that it was suggesting. But I'm going to do it a little bit different. that's extra secure. I almost feel like I should like replace this rod, like, but I think with all these extra connection points, usually when I have a staff that's this long, I'll actually replace it with an actual metal piece. And actually still, I must have wiped away a little too much. Wipe away a lot more. I don't want to see the connection point. I want that to disappear. That brush is holding on to that glue all of a sudden for me. I don't like that. There we go. All right. There we go. So let's get these creases and cricks and cracks to disappear a little bit better. Not too worried about that until I probably install this on to a base, which will be here soon when that one dries. All right, let's go back real quick and see how we're doing on this Tamiya. Definitely wipe off a little bit extra because it's being a little weird all of a sudden, and drag that down again. That was for my finger, not for the model. That one looking real good. The little dabbing action was on point. There we go. Fill up this bigger gap here. And she's got some weirdness going on. Probably a connection point or something I missed. Right at her boot. Clean that up with some Tamiya. Yep, same thing over here. That's probably what I did. Like a connection point at the bottom of the cape that gets a little wonky. We'll just fix that with some Tamiya. Beating it up and kind of stippling it down. There we go. I would say that is pretty good. This isn't going to be dry yet. Nope. Dry enough. Dry enough. Okay. Dry enough to get this base on here. So we're actually going to just rim this with regular super glue. And too much, just real light pull. There we go. A little bit extra right there. And let's get this centered on this base nicely. Boom. There we go. That is a completed model. Looking really good. I like it. It leaves the base like really open up front. So I'll probably put some like barbed wire or something right here. Seem like she could, no, her foot definitely goes there. We can play with this. Yeah, probably gonna put some barbed wire right here or something. Maybe a sandbag or two, as base is definitely combat ready. I like this model. Looks good. It was easy to assemble, easy to clean. I highly recommend this one for anyone who's running this army. Like again, let's close it out by reading over her data sheet real quick. I already have it up. I'll put it on screen for you also. So range weapons, duty of vengeance, and that's a pistol with a 12-inch range. And then her melee weapon, power weapon, which would be the sword. That's too easy. Core rules leader, faction voice of command, Lord Castellan While this model is leading a unit, that unit can be affected by up to 2 different orders at the same time. And that is the awesomeness about this model. Tactical genius, once per battle round, 1 regiment unit from your army within 12 inches of this model can be targeted with a stratagem for an OCP, even if another unit from your army has already been targeted with that stratagem in this phase. Orders. This officer can be used up to 2 orders to a regiment units. That's why she's awesome. Plus that invulnerable save +5. And she's already sitting in a brick of 25 other units. This is going to be a powerhouse. I can't wait to see this one on the table. All right, that's going to be it for this one today. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment for the algorithm, and I'll see you in the next one. And as always, every stroke of the brush and swing of the blade adds character to your miniature. YouTube thinks you will like this video right here. And if you want to subscribe, click this button right here. And a link to my Instagram is right here.